as we go along. Okay. Okay. Well, first of all, I want to introduce myself. My name is Jim Smith. I'm the Senior Admissions Director for the Northwest region for High Point University, which is a private liberal arts university located in North Carolina. And our population of undergraduates is about 5,000 students. So we're small. We only average 17 students per class. So classes are quite small. It's a small university. And it's a private university, as I mentioned. Alrighty, there's my information. If you need to get a hold of me for any reason, if you need help on an essay, you need help, and even if you're not even considering High Point, I am happy to try and help you as best I can. So don't let that fact stop you from seeking help if you need it. Okay, alrighty, let's go ahead and move forward with our program. We're going to talk about writing an effective essay. Alrighty. Well, to begin with, why in the world do universities require an essay? Why do we require an essay? That's a great question, and I believe there's a couple of answers to that question. And the first reason that I think we do is because I think we want to find out more about you as a person, your personality, any characteristics that you may have that are interesting to know about, and just a little bit about who you are. And the second reason is it helps us to really evaluate your writing style and your ability as a student. Obviously, if you can't put a sentence together, you're going to struggle in college, but it allows us to get at least just a little peek at your ability and your writing ability and style. Okay. And finally, and maybe most importantly to some universities, is if you take the time to write a thought out and worked through edited essay, that means you really are interested in our university and you have taken the time to write this and taken the time to make the necessary edits and changes to make it efficient and to make it sound credible. So these are all the reasons that we do like essays, and we ask you to write essays. All right, well, let's ask the next question, because the essay is really the only element, only part of your application that you have total control over. I mean, you can write just about anything you want to write about, as long as it is not something that is silly or something that is going to embarrass others or hurt others. Okay. The essay you write, will it be the most important part of your application? If you will it make the difference between getting in or getting kept out? Well, there's a little bit of fault to that statement, because a good essay is only one part of the application. Okay, we look at what we call holistic review of our students. We want to look at all of the things that they've done and all of their involvement, their tests, if we're not test optional, their essay, transcripts, recommendations, all those other things are part of the application as well. But let me tell you, a weak essay is only one liability among liabilities that result in a denial. In other words, if your grades are poor, your essay is poor, you've now clicked off two boxes that will probably make it difficult for a university to enroll you. Okay, but an offensive or badly written essay could indeed keep you out. I hope that makes sense to you. So a bad essay doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be in or you're going to be out, but something that may be offensive or really badly written could indeed keep you out. Now, do all admissions people read all of the essays? Well, that's pretty, there's some truth to it, but there's also a grain of, or it's also, that's false, but it's also a grain of truth to it. In other words, like for example, at our small school, I have several hundred essays to read every year. Other universities that are larger than us will have thousands of essays to read. Now, do they get through every one of those? No. The big schools sometimes, not always, but sometimes hire outside people to come in and read. That's all they do is read essays. They're essay readers. And so there's that situation. So it's kind of a true and false. We sometimes we don't read them because we don't have time to read them. Other times, as in our case, I read every essay of every completed application that I have. So it's very important to me. Well, as you're writing your essay, you need to do what I call a little bit of self-exploration. You need to think about who you are. You need to think about some of the things that make you who you are today. Who is Jim? You know, what makes Jim do what he does? You know, what and who have been the biggest influences in your life? Is it mom, dad? Could it be a coach, maybe a minister, maybe a grandparent, maybe a good friend or an aunt or an uncle? But who or what has been the biggest influence in your life? Very important things to be thinking about as you do this. What are your most distinguished personality traits? What makes you different from other people? What brings you into this life, and what has happened to you in your life that really sets you apart, maybe from others? What are your beliefs? What are some of your guiding principles? These are important things to think about as well. What are the things that drive you to do what you do? The thoughts you have. Are there any significant moments or events in your life? Now, these are the things you need to be thinking about as you start putting together your essay. So I would suggest that you look at these things almost individually, and then you start writing down what I would call brainstorming, and take a sheet of paper and writing down, okay, what are some of the things that have influenced my life? Okay, this did. Who influenced? Oh, my football coach was very influencing. My theater instructor was very. Gosh, I really enjoyed my choir director and what she did for me in this thing. Okay, so now we're starting to put that. We're brainstorming. We're putting some thoughts down. What are some of the most intriguing personality traits? Gosh, let's see. I laugh a lot. Is that a personality trait? Yeah, that could be. Okay, I'm very thoughtful. I think I'm compassionate. Okay, those things. How was I compassionate? What did I do? Tell me how I. So you have to start writing these things down so you have an idea of what you want to write about. You know, what are significant moments or events in your life? For me, there was things that I did in my life that were really significant moments. Changed me dramatically. You know, getting involved in theater changed my life dramatically. Getting involved in choir, playing sports all my life. All of those things had an influence. But what was the most significant? So that's why you brainstorm. You write these things down on a sheet of paper. You're not trying to eliminate anything. You're just trying to get as many things down as you can. Because your next step in this essay writing process is to create an outline. Okay. Now, this outline is really the foundation or the plan for you on how you're going to write your essay. Okay. Some people write word or two. Some people write sentences. I tend to be a sentence writer. I like to write sentences. And so it's very individualized. So whatever you like to do, you need to do that. But the outline is the foundation for your essay. It's the thing that keeps you lined up, keeps you going in the straight line that you need to do to get this thing right. Now I've got my long list of brainstormed ideas. Okay. And now I'm going to start creating an outline. So now I'm going to break it down into different sections. Now this will make it easier for me to write it if I break it down. So it's not just one big old pile. And looking at me, I'm going to say, okay, this is how I want to start it. So this is what we do. We actually create an introduction, we have a body, and we have a conclusion. So introduction, now the introduction can be something that hopefully will hook that reader into reading the rest of it. That I'll tell you, there are some essays that I read, and my goodness, I read that first sentence, and I am in. They got me hook, line, and sinker, and I'm in that, and that I'm just enjoying it very much. Those are things that you want to try and do. You want to hook that individual that's reading your essay. And then the body, of course, is the body of it. It's the central part. It takes that introduction and it explains that introduction and makes sure that it brings it back to the end, which is the conclusion. So you have your intro, which hopefully has a hook to it. You have your body, which describes all the things that happen. Maybe it's an event, maybe it's a person, whatever it is, that's in the body. And then the final conclusion is what we bring together. Okay. While you're doing all this, you want to be strategizing. Okay. Your essay, do you want to begin it with an anecdotal story? Maybe a question? How about some dialogue? I've read some that use dialogue to begin with, and that was really pretty darn interesting. And humor. Humor can be so much fun. And if you are able to incorporate humor, that is a great trick. That really works out well if you can do that. And so those are some of the things. Those are what I call to create the outline list. And then finally, and this is important, be sure and write naturally. You guys are gifted writers. You are extraordinary writers. Don't lose that. Don't let somebody change your writing to fit their writing. You write your own stuff. And by planning ahead, you'll avoid changing your writing style midway through it. Okay, what do I mean by planning ahead? I really tell young people, your junior year, you should start working on and it's particularly your second semester, start working on your outline, start working on your brainstorming, start putting some of these things together, because it will change. You will start on this story and this essay and you go, oh gosh, I just remembered this event. I want to write about that. So, but something will click. Something will bring you to realize that there's something else out there, and it's just an opportunity for you to maybe find something that'll be better for you. So be sure and take your time and start early. Don't wait. Okay, we've got the thing in a rough draft form now. We've done everything. We've done our strategy. We feel like we've got it written. We got an introduction. We got a good body, central part, and we brought it to a conclusion. Okay, now where do we go with all this? Well, let's ask ourselves some questions. Does the body of the essay support the introduction? Okay, we look at it, we read through it, we check it out. Yeah, for me it does. That makes sense. I think I've got a good introduction and a good body to it. Okay, does that final paragraph wrap it all up, bring it to a conclusion? Does it do that for me? Well, let's see here. So we read through it. Yeah, I think for me it does. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Okay, all right. Was the topic important to you? Great question to ask yourself, even before you begin. But as you get to this point, you may think, oh, gosh, I really had another event or another individual that I really think I would have loved to be able to talk about them. Well, then change it. That's okay. There's no problem changing it. We want to make sure that the topic is important to you. So don't worry about changing. Have you had others read it? Yeah, get somebody else to read it. Have mom and dad read it. Have a sister or brother read it. Maybe the friend that you have a good friend at school. Obviously, your counselor can read it for you. But be sure that you have somebody else read it and give you some of their opinions. But don't let them make changes. If you want to, if they suggest something you might want to change, then you write it. Don't let them write it for you. Okay, don't let that happen. All right, let's talk briefly about the basics here. Okay, first of all, write it in your own authentic voice. Write it your way. Don't write it somebody else's way. Okay, follow yourself. Let yourself out. Follow it. Okay, be a little informal, but don't be so casual that you lose them because it's just so goofy or something. So be careful with that. Alrighty. If you want to use contractions, do so. I don't know how many students will ask me, well, gosh, I was told never to use contractions. Well, if you end up having to use a contraction, that doesn't mean we're going to dock you because you used a contraction. Everyone uses them that writes, so don't worry about that. And this is another one. A lot of students worry about, well, I don't know if I should use personal pronouns, I, we, me, us. Yes, if it fits your storyline, use it. Don't change it, but use it. Okay, that's an important part of it. Alrighty. I talked about this earlier, but you want to be sure that whatever you do, you open it up with a hook. Try and find something anecdotal, dialogue, humor, whatever it may be. Try and find a way to get it hooked, to get the person interested and wanting to do it, wanting to read it for you. Tell a story and interpret the story only as much as you need to. In other words, let the reader kind of read into it and understand it. But you don't have a lot. Most essays are 3 to 4 paragraphs. Some are even shorter than that. So you don't have a lot of space to write a lot of information and to tell a big long story. So you've got to be able to condense it and get your story and your thought through that story. Remember, by doing an outline, by doing an introduction, by having a good body and a good final paragraph that wraps things up. That's how you do that. That's how you keep it in succinct and also bring it to a point where everybody can read it and understand it. Okay. Alrighty. Good stuff. Again, in this, show, don't tell. Don't tell me how great a person you are. Don't tell me how great an athlete or how a great singer or whatever it is. Show me. Tell me. Tell me a story. Tell me something that is going to tell me about who you are. Okay? I'm already going to know from reading the rest of your application that you're an athlete or that you're in choir or that you're a dancer or whatever it may be. I'm going to read that in your other parts of your application. So in your essay, maybe you do want to talk about your sports or your dance or your theater or your academic awards, whatever it may be. But show me, tell me a story that tells me a little bit about who you are and what it is about you. Okay. And then finally, very important is you got to be sure that you edit, edit, and edit again. You have to be able to go through that and be able to fine tooth your essay, make it exactly what you want it to be. Have others take a look at it, get their ideas and their opinions, but write it yourself and you'll find you're going to edit it. I can't tell you how many times I wrote my dissertation and I edited and I edited and I changed and I edited. I thought I would never. And then when I finally handed it in, I still wasn't satisfied with it, but I had to get it done. And so I just found that if I use the process of brainstorming, creating an outline, writing in my own language, and then let others look at it, give me their opinions, and make my changes. It worked out for me. So I think those are important steps for you to follow and to keep in mind as you do this. Okay. Now we've come to the conclusion of my presentation, but I want to, before I start taking questions, I want you to see this screen here. This area down here at the bottom of the screen is a form. Then they would like your feedback on that. So either take a picture of that screen so you can get that, or write that down, please, so that you can respond to the feedback. Now I'm ready to take some questions. I got a question here. It says, how soon can we expect to know what the specific essay prompts are? Well, you won't know until you get your start filling out your application. But most schools, and again, utilize the same ones over and over again. So you can usually find out from someone what those are. But I would suggest that if you are concerned about it and you have a specific university, I would contact them directly and say, hey, I want to start working on my essay. I'm wondering, you have certain things you want us to write on. Our university, for example, we do give you some prompts if you want to use them, but we also at the end say, write whatever you want. And most students like that. They like the opportunity to just write whatever they want to write about. And but I'm not going to tell you that all universities work that same way, because they don't. Some are very specific. They want you to answer certain prompts, and that's it. So again, I would suggest you contact the specific universities that you're interested in and ask them what they're wanting. Okay. What other questions might I answer? We've got a few more minutes here before we have to move on. What other questions might I answer for you? You guys have been great. Thanks so much for joining me here. Well, thank you, Maria. I appreciate that very much. I try to make it as simple as I can. It really isn't that difficult. It's the biggest part is just doing it. And I can imagine sometimes it can be difficult, but thank you very much for your kind comments. Well, again, the most essays are 3 to 4 paragraphs. Again, some universities will ask you to do 700 words or something like that, and some are even less. So you're going to have to ask what they want. So you'll have to see that in your application. Again, you can usually, if you're concerned about it, you will have a very specific university you want to go to, please go ahead and contact that university and ask them what they're looking for, and I'm sure they'll help you. I know if you contacted us and wanted to know, I would just send you, here are our questions we're going to be using. And I've been working at this same university for 7 years, and we have not changed our essay questions since, our prompts, if you will. And then, as I say, the last one says, basically write what you want. Thanks, guys. I just really appreciate. I love doing this. I love being able to work with young people, and you guys make my day. You really are. You're super. Actually, as we say at High Point University, you're extraordinary. Any other questions that I might answer? For we do have a few more minutes here. You're very welcome. We recorded this, so this will be available for you guys to see later on if you want to. Any other questions from the students? Again, be sure that you get this form feedback thing to fill out, okay? I have been so thankful to be able to have this opportunity to talk with you. It's just so cool. Anybody else have any questions? Okay. All righty. Well, if there's no other questions, I will say thank you and wish you all a wonderful rest of the evening and good luck on your essays. If you need me, contact me. For heaven's sakes, do it. Even if you're not interested in High Point, I'll certainly try and do my best to help you. All right. Okay. All right, everyone. Good night and have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thank you.